The fever. Sleep carried her away to a cold, foggy, and rainy city. The streets of London lay cloaked in a heavy, oppressive fog, as if the very breath of the city had mingled with the smoke from countless chimneys and factories. Dim gas lamps flickered along the cobbled pathways, casting pale light upon the figures that passed gentlemen in top hats and long coats, and ladies in voluminous gowns, their footsteps echoing faintly against the damp stone. Horse-drawn carriages rattled over uneven streets, their drivers urging tired beasts through the mist. The River Thames flowed dark and sluggish beneath towering iron bridges, where steamships released clouds of vapor that merged with the low-hanging gloom. In the narrow alleys of Whitechapel, shadows lurked, and whispers of an unseen terror sent shivers through the spines of those who dared venture too far. Yet, amid the city's grime and unrest, the grand halls of Westminster stood proud, where voices debated the fate of an empire. The air was thick with coal smoke and the dreams of those who sought fortune in the heart of the industrial age. This was London in the 1880s, chaunted, relentless, and alive with both despair and hope. As Zanina wandered through its unfamiliar streets, she came across a discarded newspaper and noticed that its articles were written in English. However, she had no idea which city she was in or what year it was. There were only a few passers-by, but that didn't stop her from approaching a gentleman to ask about her whereabouts. He looked at her, surprised by her audacity to interrupt him, but when he heard her question, he laughed and replied that she was in London in the year 1880. Then he walked away, muttering, "We live in the era we were born into by chance, yet we are ultimately unfortunate." Zanina couldn't hear the rest of his words, as he had already disappeared into the crowd. But she had more pressing concerns. She couldn't remember her own name or where she lived, and at the same time, her dress felt unbearably heavy and exhausting. Does it at least have pockets? She asked herself, and searched until she found one. Slipping her hand inside, she discovered a piece of paper that read, "Josephine Nelson, age 22, orphan. Place of residence, 6 Brightman Street, Zeneric Square." She assumed this must be her identity, and was relieved that her questions had been answered in mere seconds. Examining the paper further, she found no additional information. She continued walking aimlessly, but as night began to fall, she thought it might be wise to search for the house on Brightman Street. Meanwhile, she kept repeating the name and address in her mind, trying to etch them into her memory. Lost in thought, she failed to notice a deep puddle of filthy water in her path. She stepped right into it, staining her dress. Struggling to get up, she suddenly saw a figure before Harriman, offering his hand to help her. She took it, rising with difficulty, and tried to shake off the dirt and water from her clothes, though it was already too late. They were soaked. Lifting her gaze, she noticed that her rescuer was a well-dressed gentleman. He wore a redingote, a cravat, and simple trousers, all wrapped in a black overcoat. She thanked him for his kindness and studied his face for a moment, trying to recall where she had seen him before. He smiled, a sparkle in his eyes, betraying his happiness and satisfaction upon seeing her. She hesitated, waiting for him to speak, but when he remained silent, she assumed there was nothing more to say. He bowed slightly, then turned and walked away. As she resumed her journey, a troubling thought gnawed at her. How could she recognize someone without knowing from where? Frustration washed over her as she realized her mind was blank, like an unwritten canvas. Her memories were non-existent, her emotions faint, and her heart functioned like a mere machine. "Zanina!" a male voice called out. She didn't stop walking, surely, The voice wasn't meant for her. "Zanina!" the voice repeated. She glanced again at the paper in her hand, reading the name Josephine Nelson. Then she turned to see who had called out to her. It was the young man from earlier. He was following her. She walked toward him and said, "Sir, my name is not Zanina. I am Josephine Nelson, and I believe you have mistaken me for someone else. Thank you again for your help, but this is where we must part ways." She averted her gaze and turned away once more. "Zanina!" the young man called again, then asked, "Don't you remember me?" Zanina looked at him once more. She had to admit that something about his face seemed familiar, but the image in her mind was too blurred. She gave him no hope. "I'm sorry. I don't know you." The mysterious gentleman spoke again, this time more urgently. "Zanina, it's me, James. Why did you leave your home and your family when trouble arose? I searched everywhere for you and finally found your secret passage. I came to take you away from here." "Sir, I think you are mad. I told you I don't know you. I am an orphan, and my home is not far from here. If you don't leave me alone, I shall summon the authorities." Zanina threatened and began to run, not knowing where she was headed. This worsened her situation as she hadn't had the chance to explore the city's streets, which were deserted by people seeking refuge in their homes after the unexpected rain. At the last moment, she noticed a dead end ahead, prompting her to briefly consider turning back and taking a different path. An unfamiliar feeling surfaced within her as she began to panic and despair. Before she could leave the dead end, she heard voices directed at a young girl. "What is a beautiful young lady doing in our neighborhood? Did you lose your way?" Another voice said, "Do you want us to help you? Are you new in town? Do you work nearby?" The barrage of questions was not a good sign. Although Zanina felt a chill from their audacity in bothering a lady, she continued to observe them. She noticed a dark-haired, burly man with a hooked nose and a smaller man with slanted, piercing eyes. Both were unshaven and wore dirty clothes. Their appearance and words revealed that they had no intention of letting the young lady go until they got what they wanted. Meanwhile, Zanina thought to herself, "What should I do now? Should I call for help? By the time someone comes, she'll already be hurt. And if they notice me, they'll kill me too. I have no choice but to scream for help and run. If they chase me, the girl will be saved." Before Zanina could shout and run, the burly man had already approached her and grabbed her hand forcefully, preventing her escape. He asked angrily, "Are you spying on us?" As he raised his hand to strike her while she was terrified, a young man with a familiar voice appeared out of nowhere and shouted, "Let her go! Can't you face someone your own size?" The man holding Zanina ordered the smaller man standing next to the defenseless girl. Jacques explained to this gentleman that he shouldn't interfere in others' business. But on second thought, there are too many of us now. How about we get rid of all three? Jacques lunged at the young man with the familiar voice, wielding a knife with the intent to harm him. However, the young man picked up a thick wooden stick from the ground and struck first. The blow left Jacques unconscious. The burly man released Zanina and approached his partner. He kicked him hard to revive him, but Jacques didn't move. Then, he turned to the young man and charged at him. The young man parried the burly man's blows and retaliated with the stick, aiming for his head. The powerful strike rendered the burly man unconscious as well. The victor felt relief from escaping danger and rested his hands on his knees to catch his breath. When he stood up, he noticed the girl he had saved approaching him. She hugged and kissed him, then thanked him. "Thank you, sir. You saved my life. May you always be well. Whatever you wish, I will fulfill it. I will become your shadow, sir." "Miss Shadow, my name is James, and you are?" "Isabel, Mr. James." "Miss Isabel, it is my duty to assist defenseless women. Next time, be more careful. For now, you may return to your duties." "My duties? I've waited my whole life for someone like you. I dreamt of the moment when someone of royal beauty would come to save me." "Enough, miss. I must leave, and ask me for anything. I fall at your feet. Take me with you." Isabel knelt and clung to James's legs. "I'm sorry, I cannot do that." James replied politely and began looking around for Zanina, who had vanished without thanking him for saving her from danger. He then noticed a piece of paper on the ground and picked it up to read. Isabel seized the opportunity to peek at the paper, and upon seeing the address, grinned deviously and said, "Sir, I could lead you to this address in exchange for some money. What do you say?" "I have no money, miss, nor do I have time for your foolish tricks and fake willingness to help." Isabel's face flushed with anger at James's response. Without denying her true intention of earning money by any means, she said sarcastically, "So you're one of us? Why didn't you say so earlier? I thought I had a chance to make my brothers proud by earning some money." She then turned to the unconscious men and shouted, "Jack, Pete, get up!" As soon as James heard her yell, he covered her mouth with his hand and whispered, "Isabel, what are you saying? I don't want any more trouble." Isabel remained silent, but plotted not to let him leave before achieving her goal. She offered a proposal to keep him close. "Even if you had money, I wouldn't take it. I don't want your money. I know where the lady lives. I stay in the same house, in the room next door, with my brothers. I want to help you, but I can only do so if you come with me." James was wary of her, but he considered trusting her out of necessity. However, he was soon startled by her behavior when she approached her brothers and began shouting, "You scoundrels! I told you to get up and you're still lying there like logs." Isabel stopped yelling, stood still beside them, and began whispering to herself, "To repay us for helping James, I'll suggest we partner up in robberies to double our earnings. He won't refuse if he's truly broke. He'd be a fool to decline. Besides, he seems trustworthy since he risked his life to save a nobody like me. Jack and Pete will love my idea, and I'll make them proud." As she mumbled to herself, she started kicking Jack and Pete, making James regret his decision to trust a deranged woman.